Okay, so let's take a look at how you can draw a strip plot in Seaborn library of Python. So what we can do, first thing, I'm opening the command prompt and making sure I have Python. I can simply type in Python /version, right? Once we confirm that we have Python, I can go ahead and install Jupyter Lab, right? So I will be using Jupyter Notebook to draw the plot. Also, I will have to install Seaborn library. Once we have these two things set up, I can go ahead with strip plot, right? So first thing, let's open Jupyter Lab and try and draw that particular plot, right? So the first thing, we will be needing some data to plot, right? Let's launch notebook and first thing, import numpy as np, then import seaborn as sns, then import random, right? Then let's say we'll be dealing with some random data. So random state, right? Have 7 as its value, then variable equals to rng.normal, then we have like 0, 5, 2 and size set to 250, right? And then we also have this random seed, so random.seed, let's have 7 as value. So apart from random state, we also use the random seed, right? Now we also need two groups of data, so group set to random dot choices, and here within the square bracket I'll be adding three values, g1, then g2, then g3, right? And outside this bracket I'll be using value for cluster, which is going to be with k equals to 250, right? Now what we can do is we can also do the same with group 2. However, here I will be using random.choice, right, where we can have square bracket like before, and I'll be using a and b between the two, and then also cluster value k set to 250, right? So both have these set of values. Now I can form the data frame, right, where I have variable equals to variable, then group equals to group, and also group 2 equals to group 2. Close the data frame and we are good to go, right? Now we have our data. Next thing is drawing the basic plot, right? So to do that, I can use sns dot strip plot and offer x with the variable value, right? Let's try and see if this works. So invalid syntax df, so df should be equals to, got the most simple thing. Now we also can assign data frame to our strip plot function, otherwise often it should lead to the problems. So here we'll have to take a look at what was the issue. So yes, so 0.5 should be the thing, and as you can see, this is the minor mistake. When you are doing the variable value, make sure it's 0.5 and not that comma, right? Accidentally I pressed it. So we have our first strip plot, right? So what if I assign data equals to df? If I run this, it should show me the same output, right? Now I can also play around with vertical orientation, right? So to do that, all I can do is I can set the y set to variable. And if I run this, we have tilted strip plot. And so if I want to get back to the original plot, I can use x is equal to variable. I can also change the color to say color equals to dark sea green. Right, so if I run this, our color is changed. I can also play around with magma, but for that I will have to go with CMap variable, because it will make use of those palettes with CMap. So we'll go through that. Okay, so next thing, we can also take a look at line width. So line width I can set to 1, and let's say color again dark sea green. Right, and if I run this, we have our line width. It will give me the border around those dots. So our strip plot looks something like this. Right, now you can also add transparency and set the size as well. So if I say size set to 10 and alpha set to 0.2, right? So if I run this, it should look something like this. Right, now the thing is, if I also experimented with marker, I can have the marker equals to, let's say, O. See how that would look. Okay, looks something like this. Now apart from marker, transparency, border and color, can also drop the plots by group. Right, prior to that, you can also experiment with jitter value. Right, so if we use jitter set to false, right, and if we run this, it should look something like this. Right, and if I want to say draw the plot with group value, I can set the y to group, and let's try and draw that. It will create the respective group values for y. So we have g1, g2, g3, each will be getting the group value. Right, similarly I can also play around with orientation in this context. So if y goes to variable, x goes to group, again this will be divided and it will get the vertical orientation. So this is horizontal, you can get vertical. Right, you can even remove transparency. It would look a lot better without it. As you can see, it looks a lot clearer as well. Right, now the thing is, I can play around with color palette as well. So let's see, if I have like palette, so instead of this color I can go with palette and say set 1. It would look something like this. It will also require you to use this particular hue value. So often we tend to ignore it, and Python would point us that passing palette without assigning hue is depreciated. However, it allowed me to pass it. Right, so it's not compulsory as of now, but in future version it will throw strong error and may not render the plot. Right, say I want to change the order. Right, so if I try and use order, and if I change the g2 g1 value change, so g3 g1, so g3 g2 g1, right, if I try and change that, it should look something like this, and you will also see the order changed. There is also dodge set to true or false, so we can set the true in this case, and it should show something like this here. Right, so these are some of the things that we have managed to plot in Seaborn for our strip plot.